What's up, good people? Welcome to Standing on Business. I am your host, Delvin Joyce, the People's Choice, where we are always standing on business. And I'm standing on business today with my guy, Amani, well-dressed Toomer. What's going on, Amani?
Oh, I'm doing great, especially after the entertaining Super Bowl last night. I was really excited about Bad Bunny. I was really excited about the players. You know, it's always a great situation when you're getting to watch somebody, the best day of somebody's life. And you saw a whole bunch of people last night that are going to talk about, it was just 3 hours, 4 hours for us.
Yeah.
But for them, it's their entire lifetime culminating in one moment.
Yeah.
And they're going to be able to talk about this moment for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, I love it, man. I do want to talk about the Super Bowl and get some of your thoughts and reflections as a guy who played in 2 Super Bowls. So I do want to get there. Before we get started, man, I do want to remind our listeners and our viewers to please hit that subscribe button on YouTube. So if you're watching this on YouTube, hit subscribe. We also would encourage you to leave us a comment and let's have a debate about some of the things that we talk about. If you're rocking with us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, make sure you hit that follow button and make sure you rate and review the podcast because it does help other people to find us. And Amani, so with that, a couple of things that we're going to talk about today, right? So number one, we're going to talk about the NFL and the salary cap increase. We're going to talk about NBA players going back to college basketball. And then lastly, we're going to talk about private equity trying to make its way into college sports. But Amani, before we get into all that, you just gave me a little bit of your reflections about the Super Bowl, but are you surprised at the outcome of the game at all?
It's funny. I am not at all surprised about the outcome because if you really look at it, right, you look at these 2 games, you look at the quarterback play. And
right.
Usually, you know, how's the defense playing? How hot is the quarterback? Those 2 things together kind of give me because as the quarterback play, so does the offense.
Right.
And if you watched the Patriots play over the last 3 games and you thought Drake May was doing a good job, I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. I just said he was ice cold throughout the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the opposite of what you want to come in as a quarterback into the biggest game of the year.
Yeah.
He had 4 turnovers, I think, in both games. Didn't look good in either game. And it showed in the Super Bowl. He was not prepared in terms of the thing about the Super Bowl is you just don't know what you don't know early on. You kind of have to go through it to kind of experience, oh, it's just a football game. Oh, you know, this is how you handle all these situations. So first-time Super Bowl quarterbacks, it's a very difficult situation.
So you're saying Drake may have gotten caught up in the pomp and circumstance of it all, right? And just kind of lost focus on the game?
No, I just think he wasn't playing well to begin with.
Yeah.
He throughout this entire playoffs, I think we saw the worst of Drake May. He had a phenomenal season, almost won the MVP. But you would not have you could not have known that from watching that game. He did not have a great game. Not to say anything bad about him. It's his second year. I don't think my second year I would have done horribly in a Super Bowl as well because there's so much more to it than just the game that you have to conquer. And I just felt like he was not playing his best. Towards the end there, he started completing passes and started looking more like he normally would. But by that time, it's too late.
Yeah, I think I feel like for me at the end, it felt like he started playing like he didn't have anything to lose. And I felt like he was playing a little tight at the beginning, right? So when you get down like that, it's like you become a gunslinger and you just kind of take chances and you complete some of those passes that maybe you were too timid to make in the first half sort of thing. I do think Seattle's defense is elite, right? I mean, they were getting home with 4 people. And if you're getting home on a 4-man rush to the quarterback, I mean, Drake May has no chance because that means that he's got, 7 people in coverage on the back end if 4 people are getting to the quarterback. So it's just a tough challenge for a young quarterback. And, it wasn't the most exciting game for me, right? But I got to say, I think going into it, I knew Seattle would win it. I think the thing that I was most excited about, you already alluded to this, was the halftime show, right? Yeah, the Benito Bowl. And man, I got to tell you, man, I'm going to go first on this. I really, really enjoyed it. I've already told you I'm a big time Bad Bunny fan long before he was chosen, of course, to be the Super Bowl halftime performer. And I just think that his music really just celebrates, all the different cultures that come together to make America great. And I think that was on full display during that halftime show. And I couldn't have been more proud as someone who, is very proud of this country and where we live. And just to see that on display, I thought it was phenomenal.
I totally agree. Um, but I think I agree for a different reason. I did not know who Big Bad Bunny was. I heard the name,
Yeah.
didn't know any of the songs, but what he said when he said, at the end of the show, he says, "Love conquers hate" or something like that, something of that kind of, and it really does because his music is all about enjoyment, love, inclusion.
Yeah,
And that
exactly.
message is so powerful because first of all, it's pure. First, I think it's what makes us human. When I saw that message, and then you look at Bad Bunny, and there's so many people, so much energy. The vibe of that whole halftime show was unbelievable, and he
Yeah.
had all these other people on. It was like a block party.
Yeah, it was incredible, man. And
It
there's
wasn't
like,
like one person sitting there singing. It was everybody.
and like Lady Gaga makes an appearance and sings. She tore it down. Ricky
Yeah,
Martin. My wife was like, "Is that Ricky Martin?" I was like, "I don't know," but yeah, it was Ricky Martin.
yeah,
Did a little ballad. You had Jessica Alba and Cardi B as like backup dancers. They weren't even
yeah,
part of the show really. And
yeah.
I just thought Benito tore it down, man. I was really, really proud of that. Amani, as a guy who played in the Super Bowl, did you like? First off, do you remember who even did the halftime shows in the two Super Bowls that you played in?
I remember the first one. Oh, the first one was Britney Spears, I think.
Britney Spears. All right, that's kind of big. Like, what year is that? That was what year?
2001 Super Bowl.
Oh, that's right. Versus the Ravens.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Britney Spears, I mean, that was big time. So like, did you guys like try to sneak out of the locker room to see Britney perform, or did you just not care?
I was never a big Britney fan. Um, Maybe if it was somebody I really liked, maybe, but no.
Yeah.
You're so focused in
Yeah.
on this. This game is it. Like you don't care. The thing about it that my first experience on Super Bowl is I would care about, oh, Britney's doing it. I would like, oh, who's in the stands? And then you get beat and you realize, man, it's a football game. And the Ravens out
Yeah.
there, they're going after people's heads. So you had to focus
Right.
in real quick on what was going on. So when I came down the second time, we played. It was Tom Petty. Couldn't care less. I couldn't care less about anything because I knew how hard it is, and how much hurt there was in my heart from
Yeah.
losing that first Super Bowl. It took me years to get over that. Years,
Really?
years to get over that Super Bowl. It is the
That's
worst
amazing.
feeling I've ever had. I
So
tell
so
this
there
story
is
all the
no
time.
so there is
Go ahead.
no consolation though that at least
Hell
we
no.
got there, right?
No.
And you still get a ring for winning the NFC championship, right?
Yeah, you do. So we got our NFC championship rings. I don't know if I told you the story, but like
No.
they rented a whole movie theater, an AMC movie theater on Route 3 is in Clifton, and they showed us a video and they gave us our rings. Fast forward it to when we won the Super Bowl, we were in New York City on Fifth Avenue at Tiffany's, and we had a whole red carpet experience. So no, nobody cares about second place.
Right.
It is the worst feeling ever.
Bro, y'all went from the AMC to Tiffany's, bro. That's crazy. And that's hilarious to me.
Oh, so let me tell you another one. So
And
when
by the
we,
way, that's didn't Robert Tisch, like, didn't he own Lowe's theaters? Like, you would think that you guys would have gone to Lowe's instead of the AMC.
you could tell they were just like, yeah, we got these rings. Uh, when do you want to give them these rings? Oh no, I live in Clifton. You want to go? We got a theater. You can rent it out for $30 an hour. You know what I mean?
Oh wow, that's insane, bro. I never heard this story, and I got there like like a year later.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, that's
It
interesting.
was.
All right, sorry.
So the
Well,
other story is, so I was so hurt after that Super Bowl that
yeah,
when Lawrence Tynes in Green Bay in the NFC Championship when he kicked the game-winning field goal, my first, my first honest to God reaction was, "Oh damn, we got to go back to the Super Bowl."
Really? So
Yeah,
I mean, why? I don't understand.
because first of all, the Patriots have beat us.
Yeah.
So it was like we're gonna go in the Super Bowl with it being this massive underdog,
Yeah, because they were 16 and
massive.
0. I mean, they were 16 and 0, right?
They were 17, they were 18 and 0 at the time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 18 and 0. That's right.
So we were massive underdogs, like ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think we were double digit underdogs,
Yeah.
and
That's insane.
I was just like, I don't know if I can go through that again. I'm losing the Super
Yeah.
Bowl. It was that
Yeah.
bad. It was
Yeah.
that bad.
Well, you guys, of course, won it thanks to some of the heroics from one of the guys in your locker in your receiver room, David Tyree. You know, I always tell people like they drafted Dave Tyree to be a special teams guy. Like the first time I ever saw him catch a pass was in that Super Bowl off his helmet. So,
Yeah.
but amazing. All right. So again, great. I think a great overall showing for the NFL. And part of that leads to, I think, how successful the NFL is right now. You know, we talked about, Big Ten membership last week with Rutgers and how that's kind of like printing money. Well, the NFL really is printing money. I mean, this
Yeah.
playoffs was super successful. I think the
Yeah.
league is in the best place it's ever been in right now,
Mm.
especially post COVID and some of the, political and social stuff that kind of got interjected into the league, some of the off the field domestic violence issues. And then you compound that with player safety and concussions and CTE lawsuits. Like the league just continues to grow and thrive, right?
Yeah.
And so much so that this past week the NFL just approved, I think, a salary cap increase for the 2026 season. So player salaries and incomes are going to go up primarily because this league is so popular and so successful. Now, so just to give you a little bit of background, so the NFL just informed all 32 clubs of the projected 2026 salary cap range. They just informed everybody on January 30th. The league told the teams that the cap would be somewhere between $301 million to $305 million. Now, to put that in perspective, Amani, the salary cap for the 2025 season was $255 million. If we go back to 2015, by the way, 10 years ago, the salary cap was $143 million. And if we go back to our playing days, 20 years ago, 2005, the salary cap was $85 million. So now, Amani, we're looking at salary cap upwards of $300 million. Does that come as a surprise to you in any way?
It does. It comes as a surprise because you got to remember, they even walked back. They used to get, it used to be 50-50.
Yeah,
50% of the money was coming into that came in would go to the players through the locker room, and then the 50 would go to the owners. They
right.
walked back it, and now it's 48 for the players, 52 for the owners. So they walked back 2%, which is a lot of money when you're talking
Yeah,
about, the macroeconomics of that. And I always find it weird that everybody's always talking about, oh, salary cap and we can't spend our money on this and on that. And I'm like, you're missing the point.
yeah,
The point is the owners make like so they're generating over $300 million after they withheld all this stuff. Like this isn't like a paycheck type money. This is they take all their expenses, they take all their kind of deductions off the salary cap, and then they put out this number. So if it
yeah,
was really 48.50, the numbers might look totally different. I'm talking about stadium maintenance, all this stuff. I think is already built in. So this is pure profit, money that's coming into the players and money that's going into the pockets of the owners or the ownership group.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I do think that it speaks to the profitability of owning an NFL franchise, right? And I think a lot of us only think of that profitability coming in the long-term growth of what the franchise is actually worth. right? I mean, I think the stories about what, Mr. Mara bought the Giants for back in the day versus what the Giants are worth today. I think that story
$500.
he bought it for like $500. Yo, I got that. I got that in my back pocket like right now. You think we could go buy a franchise?
He bought it. He bought it from like a bookie.
But again, it was a different day and age, right? I mean,
Of
so
course, of course.
so like, but what is the Giants franchise worth now? And I think a lot of times people think of NFL ownership in terms of long-term capital appreciation, right? Like you bought it low, you sell it high one day. But I think the real story is what are the revenues on an annual basis for these owners? And the income for the players is capped. And we know that next year that income for the players will be capped at $305 million. But the upside revenue to the owners is unlimited. And again, if you are lucky enough to own one of these 32, money machines, it's basically an ATM, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
I, it would basically happen this year, where the Giants, a team that we both played for, they sold 10% of their of the company of the franchise to one of the Koch to the Koch family for $1 billion
yeah. Yeah.
with a
So
B.
I think that's the other side of it. Like the owners can also now sell a minority stake, right? So I don't have to sell the whole thing or just give it to my kids one day when I die to get money out of the organization. I can actually just sell a minority stake at any time if I want to extract some of the cash and the value out of the business. Almost like taking a home equity line of credit from your home, right? Or like doing a cash out refinance from the value of your home. It's like, all right, we built all this equity. Let's take some cash out, pay off some debt, buy a house, a beach house, whatever. Right. So
Yeah.
I just think it's very interesting that it looks like that. But the cool thing about the salary cap going up though, Amani, is the impact that it has on the players. Right.
Mm.
And they say a rising tide lifts all boats, but let's talk about what those boats actually look like. I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but there are minimums for what you have to make as a player in the NFL. There are league minimums. Those league minimums go up each year that you are in the league, right? So there are grades for what your minimum would be based on the amount of years that you have performed in the NFL. Now, I just looked up the rookie minimum for the 2025 season, Amani. It's $840,000. The rookie minimum is
Yeah.
$840,000. Amani, do you know what the rookie minimum was when I played in 2002 as a rookie for the New York Football Giants?
Probably two something.
Bro, it was $225,000. And bro, I mean, listen, I got to be honest, like $225,000 in the New York City tri-state area does not go as far as $225,000 in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I was always one of these players that was like, yo, why is there not like a cost of living adjustment on this minimum? Because if I'm playing for a league minimum in New York where it costs me $12 to cross a bridge, right?
Yeah.
Like that's not the same as league minimum in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
No, it's not.
But
Not at all.
$840,000 is the rookie minimum this year. And when that salary cap goes up, that rookie minimum likely might even hit $1 million next year.
Well, they got to do something because the NIL is
They got to
taking
do something.
it's
Yeah.
taking pay cuts to go to
That,
to go to the NFL with the NIL, some of the NIL money that's going.
bro, that is a great point, right? So, rookie minimums and NFL salaries going up might entice a kid like we talked about Dante Moore, I think. But again, that minimum goes up each year. So this year, if you had 1 year of service in the NFL, your minimum was 915,000. 2 years, your minimum was 985,000. 3 years, 1,055,000. 4 to 6 years, 1.125 million. 7 to 9 years is 1.2 million. And then over 10 years, you make $1.255 million as your minimum, right? Which as you and I have talked about, sort of pushes a veteran out of the NFL because if I'm a 8-year guy, they got to pay me 1.2, whereas they only have to pay a rookie 840,000. So you really have to prove your value by that,
Yeah.
seventh or eighth year.
Yeah. Like I said, my last year playing, I was trying to play for the Kansas City Chiefs and I was going to make 900 and some $1,000.
Yeah.
But the rookie minimum at that time was like 300 and some thousand.
Yeah.
So they'd have to have three, like they could get three players for the price of me. And then they wouldn't have to pick up because the last team that you're on, the last credited season, they are responsible for your pension.
Yes.
So they would have had to pick up, the Chiefs would have had to pick up all my 13 years. So you really have to be good to be a long-term player, to go to another team, take up spots. I didn't play special teams at the time, even though when I was younger, I was a punt returner.
Yeah.
So I was fighting an uphill battle. I would have to start and be the number one receiver for them to even consider putting on me. And that's just was I probably the best receiver on that team? I thought so, you
Yeah.
know, but at the end of the day, we're staying on business. Sometimes what you can do on the field isn't always congruent on what the team actually needs.
Yeah.
And so I was
100%.
expendable.
Yeah, I mean, because again, they always have to force the your contract into this salary cap number, right? And the
Hmm.
numbers gotta make sense. You did allude to something I think a lot of people who watch Standing on Business may or may not understand, but it's how some of those veteran benefits work, right? And so, or not veteran, but retiree
Retirement,
benefits.
yeah.
Yeah, because again, I think that there's a story here for you and me as retired players with the salary cap going up. That means that the league is flush with cash, the league is healthy, the league is doing well. You just
Hmm.
mentioned something. We've got a pension plan that you and I both are going to count on when we turn 55, or you can wait until you turn 65, you get more money.
Hmm.
We also, had some health insurance benefits, but I feel like every time we go to the bargaining table from a CBA perspective, the people from the union are looking at things like this and saying, look how profitable the NFL is. You guys just increased the salary cap. Then what are we also going to do for our retired players as well? So I don't know about you, but I look at my pension statement every year it comes, and my pension benefit has gone up every single year. And I think a lot of that is due not just to cost of living adjustments, but due to the fact that the NFL has been so successful
Yeah.
over the 25 years since I retired.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's been super successful. This is a league that does a great job in capturing the imagination of pretty much everybody in America. I think now they're trying to expand throughout the world.
Yeah,
People don't like it, but it's just a reality. Businesses have to constantly keep growing,
that's it.
and it's a great game that I feel like if you put a football game up against most other sports, I think it's a hard sell not to watch a football game. It's
Oh,
a hard sell because
yeah.
you get your time to watch the game, you get your time to kind of relax, you come back to the game, go away, you can socialize and then not miss any of the action. Like if you watch a soccer game, you have to watch the whole thing intently because you might miss something and then you won't be able to see it again. Football, it's like they got the replays, everything kind of like there's a downtime and an uptime.
Yeah.
And it's a really simple game to watch in terms of three downs.
Yeah.
Cut you go over here, you're going to score. You go in the wrong way, you're going the wrong way, and that to me, I think that's
Well,
you can
well,
watch it and not know anything about it and still enjoy it.
Well, and I also think that's one of the reasons why like the league has gotten so offense friendly, right? Because the most popular sport like worldwide, internationally, obviously is the other football, right? Soccer.
Hmm.
But you might watch a whole soccer match and it's like 1-0, nobody scores. It's like there's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
excitement for like 2 seconds in the match, right?
yeah,
And with the NFL, like if they're scoring, then that is excitement. I think that's going to give them more broad appeal. By the way, I
yeah.
misspoke. I have not been retired for 25 years. I've been retired for 20 years, but
I was
I was
just to
like,
say, I was like, man, I've only been out of the league for what
Yeah.
16 years.
Yeah,
And I'm
man.
like, 25, man,
Yeah.
you play. Yeah. All right.
2025 would be crazy. That would be grand opening, grand closing. But
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know what's I think again, when I retired though, I remember, I got health insurance benefits for 6 years as a vested NFL veteran. So I
I
had
only got 5.
the NFL's retirement plan benefit, or I'm sorry, health insurance benefits with
Yeah.
no cost. And I think it was 6 years after I retired because we had all three of our kids. I was like, yo, we got to get these kids out of the way while it's free. I was like, so
Yeah.
we had all three kids under the NFL health insurance program. And again, I think future CBA might try to negotiate health insurance benefits forever, right?
Yeah.
But one of the things that the NFL did do during COVID is they gave every vested NFL veteran, maybe this benefit extended to more players than just the vested veterans, but they gave every vested former player $50,000 in a health reimbursement account to offset some of your out-of-pocket health expenses, which I also think is pretty phenomenal. So I'm saying that to say, there are all these benefits that keep popping up. Like every time there's a CBA, there's new benefits that I get as a vested NFL veteran that I didn't even negotiate for, that I didn't think about when I retired, but now I get to benefit from them. And that's that rising tide with the NFL and the success of the NFL that's lifting all the boats right now.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think there's a lot of stuff, but I think the elephant in the room is health insurance.
Yeah.
Players
Oh,
need
for
health
sure.
insurance. And I
Yeah.
think Obamacare did a good job kind of mitigating that because you don't, because of the pre-existing condition thing. Because now we were trying to get um, insurance, personal insurance, because I mean, I'm an investor. My wife is she's in real estate. So we're both like
Self-employed. Yeah.
self-employed. So we were going to get uh, private health insurance, and it's a lot cheaper, but all the pre-existing conditions, that's an issue that the NFL is going to have to run into again once the ACA gets officially replaced, which it looks like it's been gutted dramatically,
Yeah.
and we're going to see how that whole thing hacks. But that's just things that those are real world examples of what players are going through.
Yeah.
And we are getting a lot of money in terms of we have free dental and we have free vision. And then we also have this thing called the health hospital network,
Yeah.
which be honest with you, I don't really understand,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah. But
but
also
you can go
free
to these
long term
hospitals for something.
but also free long-term care insurance that you just have to sign up for, which I think is huge, right? So like if you need help with activities of daily living as you get older, which a lot of retired NFL players may need help with those things, right? Eating,
Mm-hmm.
dressing, bathing,
Yeah,
like, you actually have a free long-term care insurance benefit. You just have to
I didn't know
enroll,
that. I
right?
didn't know
So,
that.
yeah, I mean, because you don't open your mail. I
No,
open
I
my
because
mail.
I get it on my emails, and like the emails are
Yeah.
there's so much information on these emails. It's just like you get hit with
Yeah.
them and you're just like, let me read that later. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think the main point is that as the NFL continues to be profitable, you're going to
Yes.
see some of these benefits increase even for retired players. So when we think about things like the salary cap going from 255 million to 300 million, I think the immediate impact, of course, is all
That's
right.
in
How does
one
that?
year. That's a lot of money
That's
that
a
goes to
lot
the
of money,
locker room.
bro. Bro,
Every single locker room.
you know how much practice squad players make now? I mean, so practice squad players. So we had a listener who asked a question like, how do practice squad players get paid? Practice
Mm,
squad players now get $13,000 a week. So if they are on an active roster, right, as a practice squad player for 18 weeks of a season, they make $230,000. They make more to be on practice squad now than I made as a rookie in the
wow.
minimum, 20 years ago. It's insane.
And I remember we had practice squad guys when we went to the Super Bowl in 2000, and they would get, I think they got $7,000. No, I think they got $7,000 a week.
Yeah. Well, they continue getting their practice squad payments during the playoffs. So, like, if you're So
Yeah.
the way to look at it, your team makes the playoffs, you get that 13,000 for another however many weeks they're in the
Yeah.
playoffs,
Yeah. Yeah.
even up to the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
which for a lot of these guys is good. So I remember we had practice squad guys who had to get jobs in the off season, right? And now if you can make 230,000, like if I could stick on a practice squad for 18 weeks, I can make $13,000 a week. I mean, I'm pretty good for the year. By the
Yeah.
way, if you're a veteran on practice squad, so if you have 2 years or more, the
Yeah.
minimum is actually $16,000, and you can negotiate it as high as 21,000, right? So,
Wow.
but you don't see a lot of veteran. That's why you don't see a lot of veterans on practice squad,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Like
they use it very sparingly because of the financial constraints. But you
if
got to
you're a
think,
veteran on practice squad, they're probably trying to work you into the game
yeah.
plan
Yeah.
in the next couple of weeks. Like you're in the bullpen ready to go
Yeah.
out, right?
Yeah. And the NFL needs that, especially with the extra game. They need more players that are primed and ready to go as opposed to, because with that extra game, you're putting a lot of these players in, they're
Yeah.
not, there's a lot more injuries now because there's the practice time is quit is taken back as well.
Yeah.
But they would make $70,000 a year, and we would when we went to the Super Bowl, we had to chip in 2000 so that some of these practice squad players could make ends meet.
Wait, you took money out of your own pocket for
Yeah, the
practice
whole
squad
team
players?
did. The whole team put in like a couple $100 for the practice and gave it to the practice squad guys.
Why?
I don't know.
And I'm genuinely curious because
Yeah, I
this
don't know
sounds
why it happened, and I was very kind of like, you know,
because I mean I got to say I've been in that locker room, so I'm just trying to understand what that conversation is like. You know, guys, we're gonna put some money together for the practice squad. They're getting
yeah,
paid. I don't.
no, I know it was really weird. And I had a big problem with it, but at the time I was making like a couple million a year, and I was like, yeah, I can't be that guy to stand on this. You know
But
what I
you
mean?
aren't
Like
cheap though.
I was like, I can't be this guy to kind of like stand and just be
Yo,
like, hell no.
that
So
is crazy. Well, I mean, again, rising tide lifts all boats. The salary cap's going up. That also means that these practice squad payments are also going to go up. And I do think practice squad, I mean, you can make a career as a practice squad guy for a couple of
yeah,
years
yeah,
if they'll have you. The
yeah.
challenge is if they'll have you. I do want to talk about this trend right now with professional basketball players. I'm not going to say NBA players. I'm going to say professional basketball players transitioning back to college basketball. And obviously, Amani, the big reason they're all transitioning back, or some of them are deciding to transition back. Number one, it's hard to make it in the NBA, right? There's 15 roster
Extremely hard.
spots, right? There's 15 roster spots. There's a draft every year. There's a blue chipper going to the NBA every year, and it's really competitive for those roster spots. And the other part of it is that you can literally now make more money in the NCAA with NIL than you could in the G League in a lot of cases. So,
Hmm.
Amani, there's a couple of really, really high profile players who are transitioning back to college basketball. But what are your overall thoughts on that? And do you think it's right?
I love it. I love it.
Okay.
I love it. And it's great for the NBA and it's great for the players, right? First of all,
In
you
what
got,
way, though?
when I was growing up, when we were both younger, college basketball was the closest thing you could get to the NBA, right?
Right. Yeah.
And the NBA was a grown man league. You weren't seeing these young, people doing stupid stuff and taking down the image of the league, right?
Right.
They were grown men. And so when you went to the NBA, there was a level of excellence, not just on the court, but off the court that you had to live up to. Then you got into this league era where everybody was foregoing their college careers to go to the NBA, and the level of play in the NBA kind of went down. The
Yeah.
interest in the NBA went down because you got players that are on the verge of being stars, but because nobody knows them, they have to
Yeah.
earn their keep and get their stars and in the NBA in one of the most competitive leagues there is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what the NFL does well, in my opinion, is you get ready-made stars coming to the league already, right? So when you come out of college, you're a ready-made star. You're a household name, so that everybody will be like, "Oh, I saw him in college. I'm going to be able to follow him." Now you get guys coming out of high school. If you're not from that area, you don't know who he is. You don't know anything about him. And if he goes to the NBA and flames out, then you're never going to know about him. Oh, where college you go to? I didn't go to college. Oh, you didn't go to college? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, and
so
not everybody's LeBron James, right? So
exactly,
yeah,
exactly. And some people need that extra. I think there's some people that need that extra seasoning before their game gets better. And some people need that extra season for their minds to get better so that they'll
right.
be more prepared for it. So I remember college basketball being this very good, well respected. I used to love watching college basketball. Now, last couple of years, ever since Chris Webber and all like the Fab Five, and then remember like the UNLV Running Rebels, Duke, North Carolina. They had all these really good teams that were. It was the best of the best. It was the next best thing to the NBA.
Oh yeah,
Now
100%.
now you're just there's just the level of college basketball has gone down so dramatically,
Yeah.
and the play is bad. Most of the best players in college basketball are probably in the NBA already. But what I'm saying is the college that you're going to get a older group of people going in, more mature. You're going to
Yeah.
get better athletes. You're going to get ready-made stars, and then you're going to have people staying in school for longer, getting little money, a little compensation for that, for being in college basketball. And I think I think the NBA, the college basketball is going to be better for it because there's going to be a better product on the field in college.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, basketball they play on courts, not fields. But I do think
Oh,
I
come
just
on
had to
now.
get you with that one. Come on,
Yeah, yeah.
Michigan, Michigan
That's
education.
a very Delvin
So
Joyce thing to say. You're going to nitpick me. There's a comma in there.
so here's what I will say, man. I do. By the way, I do think you have a spot on take that when a lot of these high school kids started jumping right to the NBA, I do think the quality of the NBA product went down. And I agree with you. I think the interest of the NBA also went down. And I would be one of those people. Like I stopped following the NBA post Michael Jordan, post Kobe. Like I just kind of lost interest in the NBA. And what I do think is interesting, though, is that the NBA created an entire elite basketball team to compete in the G League, right? To account for the idea that we have high school kids who don't want to go to college, who want to go straight to the NBA. And that league was called NBA or G League Ignite, right? So
Yeah,
the
Ignite.
Ignite
Yeah,
team.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's like these high school kids who want to jump straight to the NBA. Let's create an NBA G League team specifically for them so they can compete against other NBA players so they can really determine whether or not they have what it takes. I think what was good about Ignite is that you could do that and not sign an actual NBA contract or a two-way agreement, right?
Yeah.
Which a two-way contract means I'm signing with an NBA team, but I also can play in the NBA or I can play on that G League affiliate team, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Ignite, I don't have to sign any NBA contract, which essentially preserved my NCAA eligibility so that if I did decide, hey, I want to go back and play in college, I could. And so I think where the NCAA has come in and said, all right, if you only played on the Ignite team, right? G League Ignite, then you can come back to college. We're good with that. So you got some prominent players like Terry Darlin, who is going to Santa Clara. I probably butchered his name. You got London Johnson, who's going to Louisville, and then Abdullah Ahmed, who's going to BYU, right? So these are some of these people that I'm seeing show up in my Instagram feed saying, look at this NBA player going back to college. This is wrong. I don't agree with that. They were Ignite players. They did not sign an NBA contract. They only played on the Ignite G League team. And I do think those players should be allowed to go back to college, right? And play.
I totally agree because college is and college needs it. Like
Yeah.
college basketball needs this. You watch the
Yes.
NCAA tournament over the last couple of years, it is a joke watching them.
Yeah.
Compare
You're
them
so
to
biased, though.
But compare them to Stacey Augmon when he was with UNLV and the Running Rebels with
Yeah.
Grandmama.
Yeah.
Like, when they had Vince Carter, and Rasheed Wallace and all these guys,
Yo,
like it's not even the same game.
you're such a
So
unk. You're such a unk, though. I love that unk take.
but I wish it wasn't that way
Yeah.
because I can't even watch college basketball. Like you used to watch college basketball because ooh, Stacey Augman's playing, or
Yeah.
ooh, we got Vince Carter's playing,
Yeah.
like some
But they
big
got
dudes.
but they have stars in college basketball. I mean, you look at Cooper Flag last year, and by the way, I'm not a Duke basketball fan. I watched so much Duke basketball last year, 1,000% because of Cooper Flag. I thought that kid was incredible.
Yeah, no, he was incredible. He was, but there used to be a league where Cooper Flag would be pushed regardless. I mean, even
Yeah.
Michael Jordan was pushed
Yeah.
when he came out of high
That's
school
true.
and went to North Carolina. I think now it's kind of like it's almost like junior college. You know what I mean? Where you're playing against some good players, but the real dudes are already in the NBA. Now you're gonna go back to like you could be a real dude, stay in college, get a couple M's to make you feel comfortable so that you will be set regardless, then go to the NBA and push it over the top. That's the way I would look at it. And I would say, look, you are learning about life in college. The thing about college that I really liked, football was okay. It was okay. I didn't love football in college. I loved learning stuff. I loved like opening the horizons, and those are the type of things. I think going to college, I became more curious about things, you know, and it opened my mind to like what this world was all about beyond just football. And I feel like if I wouldn't have went to college or if I'd have left a year early from college, I don't think I'd be the same person I am now with the interests that I have now. And so there is more to college than just making money. And now that you give incentives for people to stay in by giving them money and giving them the opportunity to grow as a person, I feel like staying in college, well, you could jump college a year or two, or jump out of college a year too early. You can cut your career in the NFL, NBA, whatever, by 5 to 7 years because you're just immature.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. No, I completely agree. And by the way, to your point, the money in college right now for an elite basketball player is insane. It's upwards of 2, 3 million, in some cases, $4 and $5 million, right? Just on, the NIL side. And
Yeah.
so I do think, right, if you're an Ignite player and you are making $300,000, or you're a G League player making $500,000 to $600,000 on a G League roster, it's way more appealing to go back to college. So much so, this is why Charles Bediako, who, I think a lot of the uproar right now is around him and
Hmm.
his dilemma, right? So he's a little different, Amani, in that he signed an actual NBA contract with the Spurs, and then played in actual G League games as a two-way contract player, right? He never appeared in any NBA games. He never even got bench time on an NBA game, right? So that's his argument. He's like, I never played an NBA game. I only played in the G League,
Hmm.
just like the Ignite players. The
Hmm.
difference between him and the Ignite players is that he signed an actual NBA contract with the Spurs. And now he's trying to go back to the University of Alabama, where he played from 2021 to 2023. He's trying to go back to Alabama for the remainder of his eligibility, and the NCAA said no. And so he has sued the NCAA. So, Amani, I guess technically it's only a technicality, right? The Ignite players played in the exact same G League as Bediako, right? Except Bediako signed an actual contract with an NBA team. That's the only difference. Should he be allowed to play at Alabama?
I absolutely think you should be allowed to play at Alabama. Absolutely. Because at
Yeah.
the end of the day, my as a fan of college basketball, or I was a big fan of college basketball, I was a bigger fan of college basketball than the NBA. And now it's not even close. Like I don't
Yeah.
know anybody in college basketball. There's nobody that I want to see. So if college basketball could reclaim some of its talent, I'm all for it. because I
Yeah.
love watching all these college basketball games when I felt like it was top tier, top quality basketball. Right
Yeah.
now, I don't even
Yeah.
know what I'm watching. And so
Yeah.
if they want to come back, let them come back. Let them come back and go
I
to school.
I got to be honest. I'm going to push back on that one. I do think, again, you sign an Ignite contract, right, to play in the Ignite. It's you saying, listen, I don't want to fully commit to the NBA. I do want to keep the option for me to go back to college, and I'm going to take less money for that option, right?
But
I
why?
do
Why do
think
we
there is a
even?
difference.
But why do we even
I
care
think
about how much money these guys take? I do not
no, no,
care. I
no.
don't care about the money. I
Well,
don't care about it
well,
at all.
but I don't care about the money necessarily. I care about the intent of the player. And the intent of Charles Bediako was I'm going to be an NBA player. So I'm going to sign this NBA contract. And we talk about on Standing on Business podcast how important contracts are. So Charles Bediako signs this contract to say I want to be an NBA player. I think I'm going to make it. I know I could sign this Ignite contract, but the Ignite contract means that I only make 300,000. I want the big money. I'm going to sign this NBA contract, play in the exact same G League, but I understand by signing this contract, I forego my NCAA eligibility. He went into that knowing that. So to now try to go back against that, I think is disingenuous. And here's where I think we've got an issue, especially with these players transitioning back. If we open those floodgates and allow NBA players to go back to college, who do you think that hurts the most? I want you to think about the young blue chip high school kid who now has to not only compete against every kid in America for a college roster spot, now he's got to compete against some dude who's been in the NBA who wants to now come back to college. You know what that means now for that kid? Now he's got to go play Division II basketball, or he's got to go to junior college, or he's got to go to Division III. And I don't think that's right. And I think high school kids are going to be the ones that are going to get hurt the most behind this type of transition.
Well, NIL is killing high school kids. I
It's
talked
killing them.
to in football, basketball anyway. So like some kids, they only recruit because of the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Who was it? I think it was Ryan said at LSU they only take like 10
High
recruits.
school kids. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, of
the rest of
course.
them are transfer portal. So
Why
now the
would
way
you?
I
Why
don't
would
know
you?
why. Honestly, I don't know why you would. To be 100%
Why,
honest with
why,
you,
why would I take a young Amani Toomer out of high school who I don't even know if this kid's even going to adjust to being in Michigan? He's from California. He's going to miss his mommy. He's going to, not adjust to college. And who knows if he can even play at this level? I'd rather go get the kid out of James Madison, who I already saw his productivity on the field, and I know he's a professional. Let me go get that guy.
yeah, no. So like, I think the ship has sailed on that. That argument is already done with
So
NIL.
let me ask you this then, Amani. Should players who sign an NFL contract who only play on the practice squad, should they be allowed to go back to college if they've got more eligibility?
I think they should.
You
Yeah,
think a NFL player who's only played on the practice squad should be able to go back to college and finish out their eligibility?
I do because I think it's going to raise the level of college football.
No, I think
Just
that's
like the
so
NBA.
bad.
I mean, there has to be. I think there should be because there's a lot of kids that because they make a bad decision and are over. And what kid doesn't have an overinflated image of who they are at that age? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm going to the NFL. You go to the NFL, you get lumped around a little bit. If you play a substantial amount of time, if you are, a contributor on special teams or whatever, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you can't sit up there and be like, well, I won Super Bowl. What are you going to do? Now I'm going back to college and really clean up an NIL. No, no. You have to be like a guy that's never like this guy, a guy who's, if you're on a practice squad and,
Yeah.
a 1 or 2 years on a practice squad, you should absolutely be able to go back. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm for the
that's
players, right? I'm for the players
so
because
am I, but
it's a one-time shot.
but I'm also for the high school kids as well. And what's interesting, and again, I don't want to talk about my alma mater specifically, but I followed their transfer portal haul this year very intently, right? Who are these kids we're bringing in? And again, we play at that G5 mid-major level. So you
Yes.
would think that there's a lot of, let's call them Power 5 kids who didn't get the playing time they wanted, so they dropped down to a G5, right? That's
Yeah.
not what we picked up at James Madison. We got a bunch of Division 3, Division II and some junior college transfers coming into JMU playing at an FBS Group of 5 level. And there's an astronomical number of Division II players and even some FCS players. And here's why that is. And I'm not concerned about it because these are kids that, got overlooked right out of high school because everybody's using the transfer portal to recruit. So now I could have been a fringe, G5 player 2 years ago when I came out of high school, or I could have been a fringe Power 4 player 2 years ago when I came out of high school. But because everybody's using the portal to fill those roster spots, I fell to a Division II school and I went there and balled. And now you're going to see those kids like Chambliss, right, from Ole Miss. The kid went to a Division II school, Amani.
Yeah.
Right? So I think you're going
to dominated.
And went to the SEC and then dominated. And I think you're going to see a lot of the Trinidad Chambliss stories because these kids are being under-recruited right now out of high school. They got to go to some Division II school and prove it, and then they get called up. And I think that is the worst thing. And if you start letting kids go from the NBA G League back to college, I think that is a recipe for a lot of kids in high school because there's not enough basketball spots, right? Football, you got 100 kids on a football team. Basketball, it ain't like that. So a lot of these kids are going to get lost and fall through the cracks and never even get an opportunity where I think they should. So I do think the Ignite players, sure, make an exception. They signed a contract with Ignite. With the intent to play college basketball if it doesn't work out. You sign an NBA G League two-way contract, I don't think you should be allowed to go back.
Yeah, see, I don't see the difference because I don't think there's that many players that are going to do that,
Yeah.
I don't think there's many players that are going to be
Amani.
back.
Amani. Dude, the G League is a freaking cemetery for NBA dreams. And there's so many guys in the NBA G League that if this Bediako thing works out, there's so many guys that I guarantee you will take a $2 million bag to go to BYU next year instead of sitting on some G League bench. Guarantee you. And I just think that's a bad thing.
I think I'm into the let the best man win, right? Maybe if they go back to college, they won't make it. You know what I mean?
But you're gonna make it, bro. You've been playing against NBA players for the last couple of years. You're way better than some kid out of high school. I'm sorry. On average.
Pretty soon, when all the dust is settled, I think the G League and college basketball are going to be very similar in terms of level of play. Because I think the G League should be done. Like there should be no G League. You should be college basketball. Maybe a G League for like keep older players who are
because you run out of eligibility, right?
Yeah.
You run out of eligibility. So the G League should stay. Ignite went away, rightfully so, to your point, because of NIL and the ability to make money in college. And so Ignite needed to go away. But you know who agrees with me, Amani?
Who?
The commissioner of the SEC, Greg Sankey, right? He has said that he is not in support of Bediako coming back to Alabama. So when the commissioner of the league says, nah, you probably shouldn't be allowed to come back to Alabama and dominate, that tells me something, right?
I don't think he'll be able to come back and dominate. I just don't think he will be able to, especially with college basketball the way it is now.
It doesn't matter. What matters to me is that the guy signed a contract knowing that he would forego his NCAA eligibility, and that's got to mean something. Yeah, that's got to mean something. All right, so let's transition to our final story of the day. And this one is a little complicated, but it is the infusion of private equity now into college sports. So this kind of dovetails into the conversation that we just had, because the reason now that universities need private equity to pony up some extra money is because they got to pay these players to make money. So just to give you a little background, Amani, so the University of Utah, they have unanimously approved a private equity partnership with New York-based private equity firm Otro Capital. And that private equity firm, they're saying they want them to inject around $500 million into Utah's athletic program. Now, here's the thing. This is where I think it gets pretty interesting. So Utah will form a for-profit entity called Utah Brands and Entertainment, under which Otro will hold a minority stake and manage commercial revenue streams like ticketing, sponsorships, media, merchandise, and concessions.
But
The other side of it, from an athletic standpoint, is the athletic department still retains control, quote unquote, over core decisions like who's coaching the team, scheduling, and compliance. So, Amani, I see you shaking your head. You don't buy that for one second.
not even a little bit, because
Yeah.
once they get in there and they're like, yeah, we want to hire, Tom Tom Johnson. No, we want to
Yeah.
hire Tom Smith. Okay, you hire Tom Johnson. We're just going to take our money and go to the next school. Oh,
Yeah.
wait. I need to have Tom. Oh, Tom Johnson isn't that bad. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Yeah.
once they private equity. Once they dangle that money in there, you think they're going to just sit back there and give $500 million to kind of have a seat in the room? No, no. They're
Yeah.
putting
No.
$500 million in. They're going to be driving the boat, and they're going to be dictating how much money they're giving back to this athletic department, as opposed to the athletic department dictating how much. Oh, we want concessions. Oh yeah, we want all the concessions because we had a bad year. Um,
Yeah.
no. Okay, well, we're just gonna go take our money and go somewhere else, our ball and go home. Okay, you can have the concessions. It's you get private equity people are like vultures.
Yeah.
They look
I
at
mean,
opportunities where they can make a grip of money. They're not doing it from the
yeah.
kindness of their hearts.
Yeah.
So I don't think they understand the. I mean, because I was in the cannabis business and I dealt with a
Yeah.
lot of private equity, and they're like, oh yeah, sure, we'll give you this, but we own it. Wait a minute, I did all this work, I did all that. No, we're fine. So
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you think you're going to get all this like freedom, and they're gonna be just they're your silent partner. They are taking over, and if they take over, you think it's a business now. It's going to be it's going to be worse than what you ever think of. They're going to you know they're going to be like, okay, you guys didn't win. We're going to, instead of going on a jet engine, we're going a prop plane because you guys didn't win. I mean, like that's kind of thing they're going to do. Like, oh, these kids need more food at night. Food, man, give them
Lunchables.
crackers and rice. You know what I mean? Crackers and
Go-
cheese.
Yeah. I think that is I think that's my biggest concern, Amani, because I think you're right. I mean, I can't name one thing, and maybe I'm overlooking something, but I can't name one business where they announced a deal that private equity was taking over, some private equity firm was buying them out, and then the business got better,
For
right?
its employees.
For its employees, or even the quality of the product, right? Like I
Yeah,
just think
yeah,
about, like, I mean, I used to love Jersey Mike's. I mean, I don't eat deli meat like that anymore, right? Because it's
yeah,
just so
yeah.
high in sodium. But I used to really enjoy Jersey Mike's, and then Jersey Mike's sold to private equity a couple of years ago, and I just like, I don't. I went to a Jersey Mike's and I was like, yo, what happened to this place? Like there was no
Or
toppings. The lettuce was like brown. It was like, yo, what happened? And to your point, I think private equity, the goal of private equity is to maximize revenue and profit. Period. It is not
period.
to improve the lives of employees. It is not to do any of that. It is to make more profit for the investors of the private equity firm. And where my concern is now, we're talking about college kids and we're talking about a university. And to your point, it's kind of trending to business, right? We got universities suing kids and players now.
Yeah.
But imagine having private equity interjected into that conversation where their goal is to extract profit out of whatever entity they've invested $500 million dollars into, right?
Yeah.
They put 500 million in, they want to get $700 million dollars out.
Mhm.
So the question is, at what expense? And I'm concerned about what the expense is.
And not even that. Like, okay, so they're gonna. First of all, what are they gonna cut to make their money, right? And
Yeah,
then once they make what's their exit strategy? They're not going to be in this forever. They're not in perpetuity, to work with Utah. They're going to
maybe.
go off to maybe, but I doubt it.
Yeah,
I doubt it.
maybe. I mean,
There's got to be
maybe
an
they
exit
want to.
strategy.
Maybe they want to expand to other universities in the Big 12.
Oh, maybe they'll just take over
What?
the whole Big 12.
Where I think where the University of Utah is smart is they've created this additional for-profit entity, and Utah Brands and Entertainment. And so from Utah Brands and Entertainment, that's where they can pay, some of their revenue sharing and all those things that they got to pay to the players and NIL. But it's also the private equity firm is taking a stake inside of Utah Brands and Entertainment, not in the university or the athletic program itself. Right. So again, I think to your point, if the concern is that private equity starts to overstep into some of the decision making and compliance and governance of the athletic program or the university, I think where the delineation comes into play is that they've created this separate for-profit entity.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe
I
there's
think
some protections there.
I think what you're going to see, me forecasting, you're going to see all these private equity companies going into these colleges, taking over, and all the protections that the NCAA came in originally to protect players and all this
Yeah.
stuff, they're going to get under attack. They're going to be under attack. And then it's
I
going to
got to
be
be
like,
honest.
why are we having only 40 hours of practice week? They could
Yeah.
practice as many times as they want. Why are they even going to school? You know what I mean? Like
Why are they even going to
core
school?
there's core um functions that the NCAA does that no that the stuff that goes unseen that helps players and and make sure that all the playing field is fair. When all that
Yeah.
stuff starts, it's going to come undone with these private equities come in and they're going to start to try and dictate the rules.
I totally agree, but whose fault is that? And again, for years, everybody's made a boogeyman out of the NCAA. The NCAA this, the NCAA that. And the NCAA has finally capitulated on a lot of the things that people have been complaining about. And now people are complaining that the NCAA has no power. And so we can't have it both ways. And I think a lot of the protections that were in place around the NCAA were put in place to prevent things like this. And now
Exactly.
it's almost like we're all kind of like the dog who caught the car, right? We've running and
Yeah.
chasing the car. We finally caught it. All right, what are we going to do with it?
Yeah.
And now we just don't know what to do. And now we got private equity involved. We got the University of South Florida taking out a $30 million loan next year in order to pay the revenue sharing to their athletes, which is a whole other model. So instead of going private equity, they're like, yo, we're just going to take a loan. We're just take $30 million of debt so we can pay these players so we can continue to compete in the American Conference. And, I think ultimately, conferences like the Big Ten to continue to get infusions of money, I think they're going to start, auctioning off some of their media rights deals to some private equity firms or other investors in order to continue to compete and pay these players. And at the end of the day, we are the dog that caught the car and nobody knows what to do.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. But I feel like we caught the car, but the car was we only caught it because it was, this fat cat that just tried to control, he tried to micromanage things that did not need to be micromanaged, in
Yeah.
terms of like how, who can pay for a lunch for a kid at school? Why can a kid actually, this is back in my day,
Yeah.
like all that stuff was just like ridiculous. These rules that just didn't make any sense.
Right.
So anytime you over, uh, over litigate or you put too much control, get too much control over something, the backlash is going to be, you know, like a pendulum. It's going to swing back, and it's going to be much worse.
Yeah.
It's going to be all the good that you created through the NCAA. You're going to throw it all away, and then it's going to go back and forth until you find something that works for everybody.
I don't think this is it either. And I think that there's going to be more situations where schools are either going to turn to debt or private equity in order to alleviate the financial burden that their athletic programs are going to create, a la Rutgers and their $78 million loss.
But I feel like maybe some of these athletic departments are just going to be pro sport teams pretty soon.
Yeah, yeah, no, you're exactly right, man. And so again, I'm just very curious. This is going to be a story that we're going to follow on Standing on Business because I want to
Absolutely.
see how this plays out. If you remember a few years ago, I remember there was like some car dealership owner in Utah who gave every single player on the Utah football team like a Dodge Ram truck,
Yeah,
right? Do you
yeah,
remember
yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah.
And so I feel like Utah has been on the cutting edge of some of this like NIL incentives for players. And so maybe they're onto something. Maybe this is where private equity actually works, but we'll definitely keep an eye on it.
Yeah. Maybe you give all the rights and all the athletic, um, you have to pay a fee to the school, right? And so the
Yeah.
school is completely out of taking care of this athletic department, and you sell the athletic department to private equity. But the problem with that is you sell the school the private equity, they're not going to want to have a women's, rowing team or a men's gymnastics team or a men's baseball. These losers, not losers in terms of, I'm talking about money losers, because when you
Yeah,
look
no
at private
question.
equities, that's what they want. They want to make money,
100%. Yes,
and some of
no
these
doubt.
sports might die.
Yeah, no, you are exactly right. All right, Amani, I do have a standing on business moment for this week, man, and I got to give a shout out to the National Hockey League and those players. I think those players stood on business. They said we are not going to compete in the Olympics. So if you look, NHL players have sat out the last two Olympics. But of course, we have the Winter Olympics coming up, and the NHL players, there will be professional hockey players competing in the Olympics this year. And it's because they stood on business and they negotiated insurance benefits. They negotiated some guarantees and some revenue share with some of this money that, obviously they were, excluded from in prior Olympics. So, they set out the last two. They're going to be playing on this one, and that's because they were standing on business. Shout out to the NHL.
I love that. I love that. My standing on business moment this week is going to go to the man of the hour, the man of the moment, and that's Bad Bunny. The fact that they offered him to do the Super Bowl, and he was like, "You can do the Super Bowl, but you got to sing in English." He's like, "Nah, I'm not doing it if I can't say it in my native tongue. I can't sing it to in my voice
Yeah.
and 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 allow the music that I sing to be portrayed throughout the world in this Super Bowl moment." And it was beautiful. I didn't understand a
Yeah, it was
word of it,
beautiful.
but it was beautiful. It was and
I'll translate.
the vibe of it was just amazing, and I think it shows the diversity of this country, and everybody has a spot in this country, and that's what I thought. That's what I came away from this Bad Buddy performance with.
That was an awesome takeaway, bro. I love it, man. And again, once again, Amani, standing on business, man. Once again, I appreciate you guys tuning in and rocking with us on Standing on Business. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button on YouTube and like and rate and review on Apple or Spotify.
And you got to
Catch us
shout
next
out your
time.
Instagram. Shout out your Instagram.
Oh, my Instagram. You can follow me personally on Instagram at DelvinJ33. You can follow us on Instagram at SOBPodHQ. And Amani, what's your Instagram?
Amani Toomer 81 or A Toomer 81. I got two Instagrams up.
Bro got two Instagrams. You like the Kevin Gates of Instagram. All right, keep standing on business. Appreciate y'all watching. Deuce.